When you move into the design portion of creating UI, whether it's for style tiles, mood boards, or design composites, completed screens, there is a lot of opportunity for beautiful things, but it can also be daunting. There are so many sites that offer color palettes and fonts and etc. I want to give you some recommendations that will guide you through, as well as just some alternatives and some suggestions on how you can gather the best ideas for your efforts. So right off the bat, some of the stuff I'll mention is Adobe's. If you haven't checked out their great Adobe Color site before, one of the things I love about it is that it's got lots of great options. You can go to the create and create your own, but for students that are starting off, that are early designers or don't feel confident doing that, don't feel like you have to use the custom colors. The Explore tab is awesome because it has color palettes that you can choose by most popular, most used, or just if you like some randomness in your life, you can choose random. What you'll notice about some of the most popular are that they're really great color palettes. They're really curated well. People have upvoted them, so you're going to find some stuff that feels really balanced versus if you try to create something on your own and you're not too familiar with getting good grounding neutrals and good highlight colors, it could throw you off. You could get lost really quickly. Another resource I really enjoy is the Colors site, and it's really because you can do some neat things. If you pick something like this color palette, let's take a look right here, this one. You can, of course, on this site, you can go to the Generate tab and generate your own, and it's really fun because of the way you can kind of for each of these sections, you can play around with it and get different alternative shades and everything. But what I love is that if you find a color palette that you do like say this one, but there's one color where you're like, oh, you know what, this one doesn't feel right for what I'm doing, it's really easy to tweak that one color to get more of what you're trying to accomplish. Instead of having necessarily to start from scratch. So you could start with something and say, you know what, oh yeah, this is on the right track for what I'm looking for. I just need something that's a little bit more me, or more of what I want to accomplish. And you can see here that it's really easy to kind of adjust what you need to do with it, to export it, save it. So this is a great resource. Another one I will recommend for colors, and it's actually awesome for everything, but we'll specifically talk about colors, is the Adobe Capture CC app. It's gone by a few different names, and it initially was just for colors, and then they changed the name to Capture because now you can capture backgrounds and textures. You can find typography with it. If you look at the little screenshots here, one, this is available for iOS and Android, which is awesome that it's so ubiquitous. You can just grab it and use it, and it's free with your Creative Cloud subscription. And I'm pretty sure, I think you can use a lot of it even if you don't have that. But you can find a typeface, like take a picture of type, and it'll give you a recommendation, a recommendation for it in Adobe's categories, which is pretty cool, like on their Adobe type faces. You can actually take photos if you're in a setting, if someone's wearing clothing, if you see a flower. If I've been in places before, like I was in a building, I'm like, oh, this lobby has a really great just overall color to it. You can take a picture of it and grab swatches, like actual colors from there, and you can tweak these too, but it is so easy to use. It can be in your pocket, so on the go as you're looking for ideas, you can say, oh, that's a really neat thing. What's awesome is as soon as you capture that, it gets stored to your Creative Cloud library, and the next time you open an Adobe tool like InDesign or Illustrator, Photoshop, Adobe XD, it'll be there waiting for you, and you can drag it into what you're using. So another reason why this is such an awesome tool. From the standpoint of typography, there's lots of great services you could use. I like DaFont and Font Squirrel and some of the other ones, but I'm going to recommend two in particular for a few reasons. Adobe Fonts, absolutely. For one, because you have a Creative Cloud subscription, and once you have that set up, like you have your Creative Cloud app open on your computer, there's actually a font tab here. If you browse their website and find something you like this font, like you're like, oh, Signal, that's going to do what I want to. As soon as you hit activate, it'll show a progress loader, and if you go back over here, it immediately loads that font onto your system, has it like in a little temporary install, and you can be using it in your tool. Like immediately open XD and it's ready to go. There's no hassle. Whereas if you go and download zips of fonts from other locations or DMGs or whatever the install file is, you have to go and manage that yourself. And so Adobe Fonts kind of takes away all that pain. What is also great about it is that you can sort by classification. So if you're looking for something that is more handwritten, oh, sorry about that, I have it set to something different, there we go. Something more handwritten, and we can increase the size here so we can get some nice previews. of what we're looking at. Get nice and big. Yeah, so something more handwritten, or if you want something that is, give me something that is a slab serif, so it's kind of a thicker serif, but show me only stuff that would work well with headings. You can kind of see what that would look like. Or you can say only things that would work well with paragraphs that are sans serif. And it's going to show you some nice size text. And you can also be really specific and say, show me the thicker, the thinner, and say all your classifications, but only things that have a kind of thicker feel to them. And so it's really easy to browse through the site and find some good ideas to pair some thoughts up together. Google Fonts is similar in that you can also sort by show me all the fonts or just the serifs. Just the slightly thicker and thinner. I kind of love their little dialing up things. Like I want to find a wider font. And let's get rid of the thickness one so we can see here. Yeah, a much wider font. You can see, wow, that's those are intense. But they totally, if I'm looking for something in particular, something set to be typical with, or the one, I enjoy this a lot. If I need lots of variation, if I want something that has a thick, a thin, a medium, a bold, a regular, like Merriweather, if I look at, let's just expand Merriweather a bit so we can see. Yeah, you can see that it comes with light italic, regular, bold, black. It's got lots of fun weights there that you can work with. And it gives you additional details about the font when you click on it. But I love the number of styles that you can include. Is like only show me things that have, like this one has 14 plus styles. So like spectral, if we look at this, we see all of the things about spectral. It has a lot of weights. So if that's important to you, you can sort by that in particular. The really great thing about Adobe Fonts is that these are all completely freely available for you to use. You could download an archive of all of them. Don't activate them all at once on your system. It'll hurt a little bit. Like your system isn't made to activate thousands or hundreds of fonts at one time. Activate them one at a time or as you need them. There's actually tools that let you on the fly activate them. Again, that's what Adobe's doing for you. But the benefit of Google Fonts is that they're all open source. You can use them. They contacted a bunch of great designers for typefaces throughout the world and said, can you make us something so we can put great typefaces, make them available for all the designers out there that don't have to pay for them. They can just use stuff and we can have great typefaces in the world. So it's a wonderful solution. That's why I really appreciate what they're doing there. There's a lot of great, well thought out, well planned, not cliched, unique, all the wonderful adjectives for the fonts you can find on these two tools. If you're looking for imagery, there's a few different places you can look. Stay away from just Google searching as much as you could do that. There are some limitations in that when you do something that's just a Google search, you have the difficulty of, oh, I found something I love, but it's owned by someone else, or it's a stock font that I have to pay for. Check out a site like Pexels. It's like Pixels with an E instead. This is great because it allows you to find, these are all, I think it says it up here. Yeah, these are just free stock photos. There's a lot of great options available to you, and when you click on one, like say we like this one, it's going to give me a large download, and I can actually choose what size I want there, or even a custom size. And it'll tell you whether or not you need to give attribution, if you can use it for personal or commercial use. Pexels is great. I'm a big fan of Unsplash. They have an amazing community. They have an amazing phone application as well for iOS. But they have some wonderful photos there as well. And it's the same thing where you can, what I love about them is that if I find something I like, I can hit the little download button right here and immediately download it to my system. So it's like one step faster. But both of the sites have some great selections for completely free, stock photography. It's stuff that basically photographers in the world community are taking photos, submitting them, getting curated, and getting published here. Some of them do want attribution, meaning that somewhere in your app or your website you're giving credit back to the source. But all that means is on some kind of colophon, some kind of information page, you're doing that. Really, it's just creators saying, hey, if you enjoy that, tell someone else about it. Hence what we're doing right now. For the icon portion of your screens, check out Flat Icon. That's definitely a resource that has got lots of great options for you. For if you're looking for a specific icon, like if I'm looking for a search element on Flat Icon, you can see I have all the options available. I would also say one of my other favorites is Icon Finder, and what I particularly like about this one, I'm going to look up the word bookmark here for like a bookmark symbol is one of the things I love about Icon Finder is I can sort by only show me the free stuff, only show me specifically filled in flat ones, only show me ones that don't require licensing that I can use for commercially, or I don't even have to give credit. I could just do what I want and be not nice and just say, hey, I don't want to tell anyone about this. I just want to have my own stuff that's mine. You can do that if you want to, which is cool. But my favorite thing about multiple favorites about Icon Finder is that it's a quick download to all the SVG, PNGs. But if I find an icon I like, if I click on it and hit View Details, it'll show me what set this icon came from. In particular, this one came from this developer icon set. And if I look at that, I can download the entire set and I can get a set of icons for all the needs of my one application, and they're all going to match visually with what I'm doing, which is great. It keeps everything kind of in sync so that everything looks the same throughout your screens. And then one of my other personal favorites is the Noun Project. It does a lot of similar things. You can do some really cool work with it. Some parts are free, some parts are paid. Probably the best part about the Noun Project is I have this handy little app. The reason I subscribe to their service is that this little app right here, I can keep it open on my desktop. And while I'm working in any of my design tools, if I need to find something like a bookmark or a search element, if I search for it, it shows up right here, and I can immediately grab that icon, drag it to my interface, and start working with it. And I can choose what color it is, whether it's SVG or PNG, and it just does its job right there. You can still do that kind of quick fastness with a tool like Icon Finder in Chrome. I just like, if you're asking what's the reason behind the Noun Project, there's lots of good stuff they're doing. I have icons up there as well as a contributor to what they're doing, but this little tool is super handy. And now, if you're looking for visual inspiration, if you say, I'm not sure what I should be creating or thinking about, check out Dribbble. If you haven't been there before, Dribble's kind of awesome in that it is just a collection of creators putting some, as it says there, yeah, the world's top creators putting up, what are you working on right now, and just show people is kind of the idea. And so there's some beautiful visuals and inspirational ideas there. You can search, and the filtering is kind of really great on Dribbble. If, for instance, say you like this particular shot, you think it's kind of really neat, you can see the filters. You're like, oh, okay, cool, this is all about just website design or a dashboard design. And you can get ideas. Let's go back for a second. Ideas specifically on dashboard designs, and you can see all that filtered, what people are doing when they're trying to create dashboards for their users, and get some neat inspiration for what you're trying to do. In particular, something I use Dribbble for all the time, and it's kind of amazing, is up in the top corner here of the menu. If you pull down to the word colors, you can actually search by a specific color. So I do this when I'm creating a design and I am stumped on how to implement a color, like say the client or the project spec says, hey, you have to use this particular lavender purple, and I'm not sure how to make that effective. This tool lets me say, oh, by the way, when people do that, they combine it with a dark purple or this orange or this pink and black to make it work well. And I'm just not logged in, that's why I did that. Or you know what, they're doing this with it. They are taking some dark blues, some like a brighter blue, but then some darker navy blues to kind of really pair that against it well. And so it's kind of cool that you can really hone in on, if you struggle as a designer, as someone that's still learning their way through this, on how to best implement color. Not only look at what I recommended before, established color palettes, but also like get some inspiration. Look at good stuff to inspire the good stuff you're going to be making. This is a great way to do that. All right, the last recommendation I'll give you is for Pinterest. And I know this one you might say, oh, it's not for me. I'm not into crafting or quilting or whatever you think Pinterest is. However, if you haven't noticed, when you Google any kind of image content, inspiration content, one of the first things that shows up is Pinterest recommendations, because it has become a collection of just amazing content. It's not stored on Pinterest. The people that are creating stuff aren't posting it here. Pinterest is just gathering this stuff up. So a lot of the pins that you will see are coming from sites like Dribbble or from Behance or other portfolio sites. So basically what it's doing is finding some amazing ideas. Oh, sorry, Instagram is the other one I was going to say. It's pulling some amazing ideas visually for you, and you can kind of quickly view them here. And so if you start searching for things like, oh wow, I'm looking for some great dashboards, some great ideas for color, it's going to give you some interesting visuals. And then if you look back, let me go back to where I was before. If you search for a term, like I searched for UI flat design, it's also going to try to give you some recommendations on other stuff that you might enjoy, like just the word interface, and you're going to see some really neat creations. And if you start to look at the boards in particular that people are creating, there's some amazing things where people have gathered great typography, great ideas for visual design specific to searching for driving apps, for recipes, etc. So if you haven't used it in a long time or you've never tried it out, it actually is really powerful. I don't use it for gathering cooking recipes. I don't use it for ideas for my house. I just really use it for design inspiration, for illustration, for finding ideas of what I could be creating, or I'm stumped. How do I kind of make this work better? I'm going to maybe come here as a way to find some beautiful looking inspiration. All right, best of luck exploring, have fun, and go make something beautiful.